All right. Hello, everybody. It's Dave from the Eastern Mass Roller Hockey League, and I'm here with my friend Ron Juckett. Ron, say hi.
How you doing, Dave?
Not too bad. Welcome to everybody. This is, I guess, this is be this week in the E. Maybe we call this show as we talk about things pertaining to the Eastern Massachusetts Roller Hockey League. The idea is to maybe jump on here on Wednesdays around noontime to try to do a 20 to 30-minute show. The multimedia stuff's been going over quite well with the league, so I thought we would continue on with that. And you can join us and watch and chat live here around noon on Wednesdays. We're a little late today, technical difficulties, but now that we worked that out, hopefully we'll be going right at noon on Wednesdays. So you can jump in and watch us live and chat with us live, or you can catch the replay on YouTube on your phone. Here we're going to talk about some current league news, but also we want to talk about some of the historical facts and stories of the league. Because Ron, we got 20 years of history here.
That's incredible.
And I thought it'd be a good time to kind of, use this time here to talk about some of that stuff here.
Well, it's well deserved, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get into some of that. I don't want to turn this into just a reminiscent show. We definitely need some current league news and things like that. We also want to thank our sponsors. In fact, let me do that right now. We have 17 sets of jerseys coming in. 16 of the 17 sets were paid for by sponsors, and our sponsors are Paramount Wealth Strategies, Everett Bank, Alpha Omega Hobby in Quincy, Bates Insurance in Medford, the local 103 IBEW, East Boston Savings Bank, One Call Ventilation, and Aces Games and More in Revere. Ron, we get 8 sponsors for this year.
You bring me back to a kid listening to Dave Maynard in the morning because we would get WBZ up in
WBZ,
Vermont. Yeah,
absolutely,
so, all the cool closings and stuff and all the commercials brings me right back.
That's right. Now, getting back to the show, we want to probably have some players on and some guests on, and all you need is you just need your phone. As long as you have the Google Hangouts, we can do a live video or even audio call with you, and you can jump on here and hang out. We can talk about some league stuff. I do have a guest lined up for next Wednesday at noon. I do.
That's awesome.
It's one of the players in the league. I'm not going to say who in case it doesn't work out, but yeah, we're going to try to get that player on next Wednesday around noon. And then lastly, I wanted to bring in somebody from the outside of the league that has some sports writing background that could provide a very different and outside perspective on the league. Because a lot of times I come on here and it's me babbling away about league stuff and whatever. But if I could bring somebody in, and Ron, you're that guy that can come in and just provides an outside look. I mean, I'm in the forest. You're looking out from the forest. So I'm hoping that you will see some things and talk about some things that I never would just because of where I am for the last 20 years. So Ron, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your writing background, and just go.
Well, my primary sport is baseball. I covered the Washington Nationals for, almost nearly 2 years for Fansided and their site District on Deck, and along with their general baseball site called The Pen. I've also covered golf for Bleacher Report and baseball for Bleacher Report, a little bit of football, and some hockey. I wrote about the Washington Capitals for Fansided this summer. And currently I run a web channel called Retro Sports Network, which we play older games using simulated game engines, such as Out of the Park Baseball or Action PC or some others. And we do some baseball and football. And actually, I think I've done about 8 sports. And so, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, that's where I met you, Ron, actually. It was on the Retro Sports Network. I was trying to learn how to play this strategy game. Action PC Football, I think it was called, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went on YouTube, and there was a handful of people playing, and you were one of the guys playing, and you really did a fun job of making it sound like you were watching the game or listening to the game. And then I found out you did some sports writing and the whole bit. So I says, boy, I think this might be the guy to come in and help us out with this project.
And so Dave came to me and said, would I be interested? And I said, yes, I would be more to be interested. Actually, when I was my first year in college, I was the honorary captain of a street hockey team. So I'm quite familiar with the small courts and hockeys and egos and all that. I believe we actually finished third that year. We lost it in the semifinal.
Oh,
Played on
that's
a tennis court outside at Atlanta State College, and those September games were warm. Those November games were not.
well, we started outside in 1999, the spring of 1999. I think it was May. Well, we had played before that, but the first actual game with actual teams and standings and the whole bit was in May of 1999 in a tennis court here north of Boston in Massachusetts, and we were right on the water. And there were some days it was an absolute joy to play. You know, it was nice. You had the wind. It was cool. It was great. And there's other times that when it got cold, especially early season, late season, you know, I'm talking, you know, the second year we started in March. Boy, that was tough. And then we went right through October. And there was some whipping cold days right on the water. And it made it not fun to play outside. But, you know, all in all, it was fun playing outside. I mean, you did have the sun in your eyes. A lot of times you'd be playing, you'd be going like this, trying to keep the sun out of your eyes while you played. Some guys had sunglasses on. So outside was fun, but we eventually moved inside, and that's where we've been for the last 18 years.
And that's tremendous. And that's tremendous. And for people who may not know, who might be watching for the first time, you run leagues a couple nights a year, year round, right?
Yeah, I have the roller hockey league, the Eastern Mass Roller Hockey League that we've been running on Saturdays is our oldest league. Okay, that we were playing Wednesdays outside, and we moved to Saturday mornings inside, and that's been going since the fall of 2000. And we started up a Tuesday night league. I want to say that might have been 01, 02. And we've been running Tuesdays and Saturdays roller hockey. I also do a Friday morning ice hockey league that's been going since 1998. So we're actually in year 21 for that one.
So you still enjoy it and like it and all that. You've built quite the history.
Yeah, it is. It's not all enjoyable. There are some times it's been very difficult to get through the night or the day. But all in all, I mean, there's been way more good than bad, and there's been a lot of good people, and there's been a lot of people that have helped me along the way and continue to help me to this day. And even last night, I've been fighting this cold, as everybody knows, and we had some referees bail out last night, and I refereed 2 games, and that's all I could do. I just didn't have the energy to do anymore. And 9:30 came. It's 20 degrees outside, and I asked. We didn't have any referees at 9:30. And I asked two of the captains, I says, can you guys stay and referee for me? I just can't do another game. And they both did. And that's what makes the league work is things like that.
Well, on that segment, you want to talk about what happened in the past week in the league?
Yeah, let's do that here. Let's see if I can figure out how to do some of this stuff here. So let's start with the Tuesday league. We're actually in week 2 of the Tuesday league. And I'm going to see if I can share that screenshot right now. So this should bring up the Tuesday league.
Yes.
So so let's take a look at that right now. So we started last week, January 8th, with 4 games. Now, if you look at the teams, Ron, what we actually do is we have a theme every year.
And I gathered that.
And if you can imagine, after 20 years, we've run out of ideas.
I saw the fast food one caught my eye when I was looking through this morning. When the quarter pounders were playing the Big Macs.
Yeah, we've done everything you can think of. In fact, when we have the draft to draft the teams, the longest part is picking team names because we've just done everything. And we've done a few things a couple of times. So this year on Tuesday night, we decided to do Sylvester Stallone movies.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we got. So you can see here we have, Stop and My Mom Will Shoot and Tango and Cash and Cliffhanger and the whole pit. But last night we played week 2, which was January 15th. And as you can see, Stop and My Mom Will Shoot improved to 2-0 with a 5-4 win over the Expendables. Tango and Cash, they've tied both games this season, Ron. They are 0-2 after a 5-5 tie with Rocky last night. And I believe they scored with 9 seconds left to tie that game and force overtime, and nobody scored in overtime. We do allow for ties. And then it was Cliffhanger who tied last week. They finally won a 9-6 win over Rambo, and that was Rambo's first loss of the season. And then finally at the 9:30 game, Over the Top improves to 2-0 with a 7-4 win over Lords of Flatbush, and Lords of Flatbush now will fall to 0-2.
So who caught your eye last night as far as players?
Well, if we go to the stars of the week, I don't know if I could, call that up, but not. We could just talk about it actually. Dave Niemi for the over the top team, who's a challenging skater, let's say. He's a little skater challenged. He picked up, I don't know, 2 goals and assists or something. This kid was on fire, and that's what makes it fun about when you're playing with all different skill levels. It's not only the top guys that contribute. It's guys like Dave, who quiet guy, nice guy, and he chips in with 3 points last night and gets his team to win.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And no, go ahead.
And we had a fill-in goalie at 9:30 as well. Andrew Todenkoff filled in, last-minute fill-in, and he made some unbelievable saves. I remember watching that game last night at 9:30, and a couple of sure goals. Absolutely a couple of sure goals, and he just took them away, and that also secured the win for over the top.
Now, as I was going through some things, I noticed that, these aren't the 2-1 trap games that you see in the NHL. I mean, goals against average is what would be considered good? 6, 5?
I want to say, Ron, that the average goals against average is 7.
7.
Maybe 5 is really good. 6 is good. 7 is average. Our typicals, because it's roller hockey and it's wide open, the rules are very different than ice hockey. There's no icing. There's no offside. It's one big zone. The ball's constantly in play. We do have a smaller court that we play on.
And it's 4 on 4.
4 on 4, yeah. So it's there's a lot of space to move around and shoot the ball. And so there's a lot more offense, a lot more goals being scored. And so the average score, I think, is 7-6 or 8-7. So right around 7 is the sweet spot for goalies. I could actually try to call up if I go to our leaderboard. Let's just go to Saturdays right now. We'll go my leaderboard on Saturdays. Just hang on one sec while this loads, and I'll click on my goaltender, and I'll try to share that screen right there.
And that championship is this weekend, if I remember.
We'll talk about that in 1 second. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, so we're going to go to this. This is the Saturday page here right now, okay. Ron. Yeah, and we'll take a look at some of the goaltender stats here. And well, the first one, Joe was just played in 1 game. He's a fill-in. But if you look at Rob McHugh here from the Oilers, 4.64. He played 12 games. Yeah, Justin Bennett of the Rockies was 4.87. So this is actually, it is quite a bit less than 7. So maybe I was a little high in my goals against average for goaltenders. But you can see everybody here. I mean, the highest one here is 8.83. So still 7's not too far off. So, yeah, that's kind of where we stand with the goaltender stuff.
Awesome. And so, and they don't seem to mind. I mean, that's kind of,
oh, goalies don't like being scored on. That's for sure. But
that's cool.
So what else? Yeah. I'm sorry. Let's go right into the Saturday. Let's take a look at the Saturday standings right now, because we already talked a little bit about Tuesday. So we do have the championship coming up on Saturday. So let's see if I can share that screen right now. So yeah, so these are the Saturday standings, as you see. So we have the Devils. They were 10-2 this season, followed by the Sabres, Bruins, and then the Oilers. And ironically, those are the 4 teams playing out in the final round this Saturday, Ron. Whereas we have the Devils taking on the Oilers and the Sabres taking on the Bruins, and the 2 winners will meet right after and play the championship game, and we will have a champion on Saturday.
That's awesome.
One of those 4 teams.
What do you win when you win a league?
Well, you get your name immortalized on the trophy. We have a trophy with it's a big honking thing that I made up a few years ago, and it's got everybody's name on it going back to the first championship in 1999.
You sure your name isn't Lord Stanley?
No, it's actually a big outdoor thing I got at Home Depot, and I painted it gray. And what I do is I print out everybody's name on a little placard, and I just use tape, and I put every little placard on the thing. It's the only way I could figure out to do it, because the engraving would be thousands of dollars to try to engrave anything with all those names and years on there. So you are immortalized on that, and everybody gets a championship T-shirt and photos on the webpage and social media and the whole bit. And we try to make a big deal out of it. Is what we try to do.
That's awesome. And you can make a point out of this being your 20th year. What are some of the major changes that you've done over the last generation?
Well, when we started outside, we had a lot of crazy rules because we were playing in a small tennis court. So when we moved inside in the fall of 2000, we basically scrapped all the rules and it started fresh. We tried to keep it early in the league beginnings. We tried to keep it like ice hockey, which is probably a mistake looking back at it, because ice hockey and roller hockey have very different rules. You know, roller hockey's 4-on-4, ice hockey's 5-on-5. Roller hockey, there's really no icing or offside or anything like that. We had icing and we had offside, and we slowly started eliminating those to speed up the game. And I think it did a really good job of doing that. We also used to, when we had matching penalties, we used to take a man off and play 3-on-3. And yeah, after doing that for a while, we said, you know something, because it's a draft league and it's not a team league, so everyone's individuals. If we take a man off and play 3-on-3, it's taken away playing time from somebody that we really don't need to do that. So at some point, if there's a matching penalty, we still play the 4-on-4, and the guys just serve the penalty 2 minutes at the bench or whatever. So we did change that up. I think the biggest change came, I want to say it might have been 12 or 13 years ago, where we decided to play the ball if it cleared the glass. Now, above the glass, we have this mesh netting all around the rink. And we decided that if the ball hits the netting and comes back into play, that we were going to play it. And that saves 20 or 30 whistles a game. And that speeds up the game. And I remember when we first did that, we had a captain's meeting, and one of the captains just leaned back in the chair and went, you know, what if we got rid of that whistle every time it hit the netting and just played it? And we did that. And I remember it sped up the game, and it kept the game moving to a point that we were all tired, and we couldn't figure out why we were tired after the game. And it was because we had so many fewer whistles. The game flowed so much better. I think that's probably the biggest change that we put into the league, was playing it. We call playing it off the net. And obviously, if it hits the ceiling, it's out. If it goes onto the bench, it's out. But as long as it comes back into play, we play it, and that keeps the game moving. In fact, there's been times we've gone 12 or 13 minutes of gameplay without a whistle.
What? That's a lot.
It is. And if there's 3 or 4 line changes take place, as long as it's not a goal, a penalty, or a goalie tying it up. You know, there was one, I think it was a playoff game that we played 17-minute periods. There was a playoff game. We went 15 and a half minutes. The first 15 and a half minutes of the game was all action. And finally, somebody scored a goal with a minute and a half to go in the first period. And it was amazing. There was no whistles. And so I think that was the biggest change.
That makes for a much better product to watch and play. I was going to ask about lines. How big are the teams?
We go eight skaters. Mm-hmm. So it's 4-on-4, so 2 lines. It's never any more than 8. It's so you play half the game pretty much. Okay. So whereas ice hockey, you know, the last ice hockey team I played on, we had 3 full lines, and oh man, this is not a lot of playing time with 3 full lines.
No. One of the things that you sent me in the notes is that this is a drafted league as opposed to bring your own teams. Good things about that, match for skill level. I mean, how does that go for you?
Having a draft league is very different than having a team league. A team league is your standard league with you and a bunch of buddies put together a team and call the league up and say, we want to play. And you send them a check.
Like your average beer softball.
Yeah. Just 99% of the leagues are that way. Whereas you just sign up, you get on the schedule, and you play. And basically the league just put you on a schedule, and it's a lot easier as far as a guy running the league to have a team league, because you deal with the captain, and that's all you do. It's like you deal with the captain for money, you know, and you don't chase individual players. And if the captain's missing a goalie or skaters, they find it. The league schedules the game and the referees, and that's it. They do not worry about your team. Whereas in a draft league, everybody comes in individually. The league makes the teams up, and the league chases every individual player to make sure they're going to show up, to make sure they pay, and the whole bit. The big difference, though, aside from that, is when you have a team league, the better teams and the better players tend to congregate. So you always got this team winning and this team losing season after season. Whereas a draft league, you tend to have more parity, where any particular night, anybody on paper could beat the other team. And we have had last place teams go all the way and win the championship.
And hey, it encourages people to want to keep playing, because the worst thing that can happen is you have an 18 league. You might have 4 teams that have a shot, and the other 4 don't care, and the other 4 just stop showing. 2 of them just don't show up the last month of the season. And that's
that happens a lot in a lot of the team leagues. Is that the teams they don't show up. You have a forfeit. Team shows up, they drive all the way to the rink. It's a cold night. They get there at 10 o'clock and there's no game because the other team says, "Well, why bother playing?" And or they drop out. With a few games left, and yeah, that tends to happen. I guess that's just the nature of hockey. Whereas if you're not winning and you don't feel you're going to win, you don't show up. Whereas in the draft league, there's good and bad to both. But I think in the draft league, if you're looking for parity, we've never had a forfeit. I mean, because it's individuals too. The chances of 8 or 9 individuals getting together and saying we're not going to play tonight is slim. I mean, yes, if it's a bad weather night or something like that, absolutely. But when a team league, it's usually a bunch of friends and they're probably sitting around drinking beers like, yeah, we don't feel like playing tonight. And they just all don't show collectively. Whereas to send out, 9 messages to all the guys in the team to say, hey, collectively, we're not showing, that just doesn't happen. So we usually get enough 3 or 4 regular guys, and then we throw in guys that are at the rink and the game gets played. So yeah, so I can honestly say that, no one's ever showed up in 20 years. No one's ever showed up to one of my games and not had a team to play.
That's incredible. Were you draft from day one?
Yes. Yep. Back in 1999, there was really no internet back then. There was some, but I remember just hanging flyers at the rink, go flyer here, flyer there. And we showed up that Wednesday night and we had enough guys for 4 teams. We had 4 goalies and we just, you pick you, and just that's how we did it. Now we have it all on paper, and it's a lot of stuff. We've actually drafted over the internet, if you can believe it, because we couldn't get everybody together.
That's incredible. Now, yeah, that's absolutely incredible. Now, jerseys, have the new ones come in yet or no?
Not yet. It took a solid 3 to 4 weeks to get that order together, only because it took a week or 2 to get the design. That's something I was happy with. And then we got sponsors. So the sponsors had to be happy. We had to make sure that we had different colored jerseys, and then players wanted their own jerseys. So I was, trying to coordinate with all the players who wanted what number, and put the orders in. I'm hoping they're going to be here. They said 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm thinking mid to late February. So both of the new seasons starting up, we should be switching over to the new jerseys.
How long are the league staggered for? You're just finishing your first season this Saturday now, and your Tuesday league has started, right? So
yeah, they run all year.
Right. I do.
And the Tuesday league is pretty consistent because we have 8 teams, and we really don't go any more than that because we have the 4 hours, and there's really no other time to play on Tuesday night. As it is, we got the 4 games, and we couldn't play any earlier, any later. So we stick with the 8 teams, and we play everybody twice. So the Tuesday league is consistently 14 weeks of regular season and 2 weeks of playoffs, and that's been consistent for 10, 15 years maybe. Saturday tends to vary due to the time of year and to how many teams. So the Saturday season could go as long as 20 weeks or as short as 10 or 12 weeks.
Okay. And if anyone who might not have heard of your league somehow watches this video or any one of the This Week in the E series coming up, who would they get a hold of if they're interested in playing and becoming part of it?
Yeah, they could get a hold of myself. Our website is a great place to go, emrhl.com, the Eastern Massachusetts Roller Hockey League. Actually, if you just search Roller Hockey Leagues Massachusetts, we'll come right up. We're also on Facebook. Just search EMRHL on Facebook, as well here on YouTube. We have a few things. I think on Instagram, we are _EMRHL. And on Twitter, we are at EMRHL. So we're pretty active on the social media. And as we are, here on YouTube, we're doing this today.
And what do you get for your fees?
It's roughly $13 a game.
Okay.
Give or take, and that includes a shirt. You don't get to keep the shirt, but you don't have to buy a shirt. So I bring the shirts every week. You put on the shirt. We all look good. We have matching numbers. And then at the end of the night, I collect all the jerseys, take them home, and wash them and bring them all back. So that's all included in your league fee. includes all your playing time and everything.
That's awesome. And you do your own laundry too. When we say the chief cook and bottle washer, you really mean it.
I do. In fact, I don't know if you can see behind me over here. Those are all the ones that come out of the wash in the dryer this morning. So I took them out of the dryer and I put them all in little piles by color. And now I'll go and I'll fold all 8 sets from last night after we're done here. So yeah, I do. I take them home and I wash them all, and they're all clean and ready to go every week.
All right. Well, that's awesome. And so this week, the playoffs for the Saturday League, and then week 3 of the Tuesday League coming up next Tuesday, right?
Yeah. So we will finish out the Saturday season. Now, well, I mean, we have that big storm coming in, okay? And we do have a meteorologist in the league who's really good, Ron. Really good. And he's saying—
Where did he go to college? Where did he go to college?
Oh, I don't know.
Ask him.
I will have to ask him,
because I flunked out of a pretty good meteorology school. I didn't go for meteorology, but I know a lot of those people.
But I'll find out. Okay. I think it was here in Massachusetts somewhere. Okay. He's a local guy, but he's saying that depending on, he's got all these fancy terms like the Euros and the thises and the
models. I know what those are.
The models. Yeah. And if it comes a certain way, we could get whacked with 2.5 feet of snow Friday into Saturday.
Isn't that fun? Don't you love living in New England?
Yeah, but now he's saying it's going to be a couple of inches and then turn the rain. So hopefully we'll get in Saturday and finish up the season, and then we'll crown a champion. We actually have a scrimmage game right after the finals on Saturday that we're bringing up a bunch of new guys who are hoping to play next season. So we'll get them skating with us, and then we'll pick teams Wednesday night, and we'll start up the new season next Saturday. And as you mentioned, next Tuesday night is week 3 of the Tuesday season.
That's awesome. And you've already given the information for how to get in touch with you and how to get in touch with the league.
Yep, I think we're all set. We covered everything.
And so next week, we hopefully will have one of you guys on to interview and go through and talk a little bit more about the history of the league. Now, the Joey Mullen that plays for one of the teams, I was looking at that box score. That's not the Joey Mullen, is it?
No, it's not. But Joey Mullen is really good. In fact, he's on the he was Ron. We'll talk about this at some point there, but he was part of the biggest playoff comeback in league history last season. We'll talk about that on a future show.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, so that should do it for the opening episode of This Week in the E. He's Dave Gardner. He runs the league. I'm Ron Juckett. I'm just here to help. And until next Wednesday, we'll talk to you the next time.
Bye, guys.